This book got its author arrested. Today we're going to be talking about Daddy's Little Toy, the controversial book written by Tori Woods that went viral. I've waited a bit to make this video because I wanted to cover the story from start to finish. So to do that, we have to go back to where it all began. In 2024, author S.T. Mears released a book called Baron's Second Chance. It was shockingly plagiarised by an author who had a couple of releases, a few thousand followers, and it was also someone who was in the community. The author, who went by the name of Lauren Ashley, was described as someone who writes sinfully saucy romances that would even make the devil blush. Her characters are wickedly sexy, will make you wild with want, and have more drama than a season of Beverly Hills Housewives. A far cry from Lauren's life, which consists of watching Disney with her daughter and reading her Kindle while hubby plays PlayStation. Supporters of Mears got in touch with her to tell her that she needed to read this book to see how badly it was plagiarised for herself. And lo and behold, when she did, there were entire chapters that had been lifted out of her book. But her first idea wasn't to go public. She wanted to handle this professionally and hopefully swiftly, so she reached out to Ashley and asked for an explanation. Ashley was extremely sweet to Mears, but something was off. She kept giving her the runaround, and it certainly seemed as though she was trying to act kind in order to avoid any sort of repercussions. But thankfully, Mears figured this out and eventually went public with the accusations. Ashley released a statement outright denying it though, even though it was pretty much clear for everyone to see. And thankfully, because it was so clear, Mears didn't get any backlash. The only person who actually decided to go at her was Ashley's PA, who messaged Mears to tell her that she was just doing this for clout and to boost her self-esteem. But the proof was too much for anyone to deny. The release was eventually taken down and Ashley wouldn't release any more books, at least under that name. But before we get into the next chapter, I just wanted to speak a little bit about today's video sponsor, Coopert. Are you ever shopping for food, clothing or electronics and wondering if you're getting the best deal? So am I, and that's why I use Coopert when I shop. Coopert is a free browser extension designed to save you money, with you having to put in zero effort. Coopert tests coupons automatically at checkout and applies the best available codes to make sure that you're getting the maximum savings available. You can also take advantage of cashback offers. If you activate their cashback feature before you complete a purchase, a portion of the commission will be returned directly to your account. You can then withdraw that through PayPal, gift card or bank. It's money back for simply installing an extension. And even better, as you browse, Coopert will automatically display price information from other retailers, helping you to make informed decisions when buying items. They want to make sure that you're getting the best deal. They support Chrome, Edge, Opera, Firefox and Safari on both desktop and mobile, and they have over 6 million weekly active users on desktop with 3 million on mobile. They also work with over 200,000 retailers such as Walmart, Sephora and Temu to get you the best deals, so they're trusted by both customers and retailers. So why not download Coopert today using my link in the description and watch your savings grow. Thank you again to Coopert for sponsoring today's video. So let's skip forward to this year, when Daddy's Little Toy was released. The book focuses on a relationship between an 18-year-old and her dad's friend, who has known the teenager since she was a young age. He's even described in the book as having desired the teen since she was 3 years old. It further knuckles down on the creepy age gap relationship stuff by having the title right on the front page being written in the style of children's building blocks. And the character descriptions on the back also don't help the case at all. There are two main characters, Lucy and Arthur. Lucy is the 18-year-old girl, while Arthur is the older adult. The description for Lucy reads, "I can't help myself when I'm around him. I wet my pants in excitement. At night I use my unicorn stuff his horn on myself. All I think about while I'm being naughty is my dad's best friend, and how I wish he could be my daddy. I'm the freak of the family. My dad is disappointed in me, my mum dismisses me, and my sister despises me. I'm delusional if I think Arthur would ever want to play with me." The one for Arthur is just as bad if not worse, and it reads, "My juicy Lucy." Nonce. She's finally 18. I've wanted her longer than I can ever legally admit. She doesn't know it yet, but she's going to be my perfect little toy, my precious little unicorn, and I'm going to be her daddy. When I see her playing dress-ups, I forget about the fact that she's my best friend's barely legal daughter, or that her mum hasn't protected and cherished her like she should. All I know is that she's meant to be my little girl. There are so many problems here. First of all, it's clearly playing into the idea that while Lucy is portrayed to be of legal age, the way Arthur describes her is more like a child. Particularly when he says that he watches her playing dress up. That's more of a childish characteristic than that of a legal teenager, even if it is followed up by confirming that she is barely legal. And this is problematic in and of itself because the whole barely legal thing is disturbing. It's essentially predator bait. That's what this type of content panders to. And I'd put this book in with all of that. Of course, the author Tori Woods was getting a lot of backlash because of the disturbing read. And she didn't help her case by basically standing her ground on Instagram. In an acknowledgement post, she didn't really take much responsibility. She just said, "Hi everyone, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. DLT is definitely not promoting or inciting anything ever to do with CSA or what is being said is grossly disturbing and breaks my heart, as well as makes me sick. DLT is fictional and meant to represent the daddy dom little girl world. I understand where I went wrong, and that is why I have removed it from Amazon this morning. What happened between these characters, yes, started at a young age. No intercourse happened while she was young. Yes, there were thoughts, and I can see how that is frowned upon. Nothing happened like that until she was of age. I know nothing that I say is going to change or fix what I've written." We can get some more context here to what is actually in the book as well. When she says that no intercourse is portrayed while Lucy is young, but that there was still an early relationship building, that's disturbing. I'm not even sure I want to know more about what she actually wrote, to be honest. There is more to this statement, but if you are a keen-eyed viewer, you may have noticed some similarities between Tori Woods and an author that I mentioned earlier. Lauren Ashley didn't apologise, she just released a statement. Tori Woods didn't apologise, she just released a statement. And as it turns out, that wasn't just a coincidence. Apart from Ashley's PA, there was one other person who had messaged Moores when the original controversy was going on. An author by the name of Tori Woods. But this isn't the only evidence we have that they are in fact the same person, because an author called Jess McFarlane posted on Threads, saying that she had met Ashley when she released her debut novel. So she knew her voice and what she looked like. And when she had listened to a podcast episode that Woods had featured on, what do you know, it was the same voice. And Woods eventually came out and admitted it. In the second page of her statement, she said, "These ladies," in reference to the people who had helped her with the cover art, "were under no impression that I was Lauren Ashley writing as Tori Woods. I reached out to these ladies to work with them as Tori and only as Tori." Although she was an author, she also worked as a marketing executive for a Christian charity called Baptist Care, and her real name was confirmed to be Lauren tesolin-mastrosa. Baptist Care said in a statement that they had received reports of one of their employees, and she was essentially forced to stand down from her position, at least while they are carrying out an internal investigation. And things would only continue to get worse for Lauren. Her books had now been removed from Amazon and basically every other book marketplace that you could think of, but she still had the physical copies. Whether these would ever see the light of day or not under her rule was yet to be seen, but we would soon have the answer, because on March 21st, the police would pay a visit to Lauren's home. They said, about 12:30 PM on Friday, detectives attended a home and arrested a 33-year-old woman before being taken to Riverstone Police Station. The woman was charged with possessing material, disseminating material, and producing material. Lauren was then granted conditional bail and was set to appear in court. But before we get into that saga, you might be a bit confused about the charges, so let me explain. Under Australian law, you can possess, produce, or distribute any material that depicts a person who is or appears to be under 18 in an explicit context. Unlike other places, this actually includes fictional and artistic representations. So even text-based content like books can break the law, if it meets that criteria. In fact, as the law currently stands, all content is treated the same, whether it's real or fictional. This almost changed because a few months ago there was a talk about introducing a lesser charge for people who created CSAM using AI. The review didn't go through because there was a case where this happened, and the defense lawyers tried to argue that because it was AI, no real children were harmed. So they decided to force the authorities to prove that AI was learning off of real CSAM. They managed to prove this, and thus the law wasn't changed. And the authorities seemed to believe that Lauren's book broke it. When they arrested her, they took all physical copies of her book as evidence. And it seems as though she might be fighting a losing battle because by some of the things that she has said, it seems as though she knows what she was writing was wrong. People were wondering how the hell this got through an editorial phase, and when Lauren released her statement, we finally got the answer to that. She admitted that although the book was edited, she didn't actually give the editor the full book, instead leaving some parts out, and the parts that the editor did decide to question, Lauren admits to not being entirely truthful in her answers. This explains a lot, and reading some of the extracts, we can very much see why she decided not to hand the full book over. One person left a review before the book was taken down, and they explained that they had only managed to read a quarter of the book before having to put it down. And that was because, as she blatantly put it, it included some quotes from the book were also included in the review, and in one, Arthur said that he wants a woman as sweet as his friend's toddler daughter Lucy, who was 3 at the time. In another, and this quote is truly awful, so if you want to skip it, there is a timestamp on the screen. Arthur said, "I made the mistake of peeking between her legs only to find dark curls hiding what I'm sure was, and still is, the most perfect, untouched, pretty little pink. And while I'm impartial to a little pubic hair, I generally prefer my baby girls bare. It makes a little feel more authentic. Little girls don't have hair on their private parts." The reviewer also made sure to note that in this instance, when Arthur said this, Lucy was still a minor. I genuinely don't know how someone sat down, wrote that, and it then managed to actually make it not only to the editorial phase, but through it. And after all of that, why would you decide to publish it? It just baffles me because there are so many problems with this. And it's genuinely concerning that a 33-year-old woman thought this was okay. But what makes this even more concerning is that she dedicated this book about an older man lusting over a literal child to her own children, who are both under the age of 5. She also apparently left a written dedication in the book that said after she released this and wrote it, she could never look at them the same way again. Just to be clear, that may or may not be true. There was a dedication saying that she couldn't look at some like kids show characters the same, but there is some evidence that this may have changed, as in the children dedication was the original one and then it was changed to this after some backlash. Like I said, I can't confirm or deny, but I thought that this was important to include either way. But if it isn't or is true, surely she had to have known by this point that she had crossed a line that you shouldn't cross. And another thing, you can't write about literal predator fantasies and try and hide it under the dark romance genre, because that puts a stain on the entire community. I don't really read many books, and dark romance wouldn't be my type if I did anyway, but a lot of people genuinely enjoy the real stories that people are putting out there, so when all of them are being overshadowed by this disgusting book, then it kind of affects everyone. This isn't a story about some massive age gap relationship or about the DDLG world. It's a story of how a young girl gets groomed throughout her younger years into eventually having a relationship with an older guy the second she turns 18. And one of the most disturbing parts of this all to me is that it wasn't just released so that Woods could increase her number of releases, but it was released to make profit. This was motivated by profit. And when you consider the people who are not just going to read this, but going to get off to it, that is very messed up. Because there are going to be people who read this solely because they find it arousing. And look, I'm not against including predators in fiction. If you can write it in a way that genuinely expands your plot, condemns their actions, and portrays them as a bad guy or a bad woman, then great. But the problem here is that DLT doesn't. Like I said, it portrays a man essentially grooming and then preying on a young girl before taking advantage of her the moment she turns 18. At no point does the book condemn his actions or portray him to be this grimy, disgusting person. And other novels do, and Woods really should have taken a page out of their book, literally. Not as if she's against taking pages from other people's books. So as much as she can act like this wasn't her intention in her statement, it's the actions that count. And the book that she wrote certainly doesn't back up her apparent stance. Now that you know all about the book, let's jump forward to today. The court case. Lauren has pleaded not guilty to all three charges, and her solicitor had submitted an initial application for a suppression order. This would make sure that the media could not publish her name, her pen name, her book title, or any other details about the case really, with the main argument being that threats had been made against her and her family. The order was opposed by lawyers from the other side, and on April 16th, a magistrate dismissed the application, ruling that they would not be influenced by the media reporting of the case, that no evidence could back up the risk of harm, and that the horse had already fled, basically, is how one of their lawyers put it, because by this point, the details about this was worldwide, so a suppression order wouldn't really do anything anyway. But they're taking this decision in their stride, as her solicitor stood in front of the court and said, "It's a fictional book where the characters are consenting adults. The word produced material usually infers that there is a child being made to or having acts done to them, but that is entirely not the case. That association with CSA causes, in my respectful submission, undue respect and embarrassment, when really all Lauren has done is written a fictional novel." She also argued that the allegations had been applied by the police before they had even obtained or read a copy of the novel. But that's where the case ends for now, with Lauren set to face court again on the 5th of June. So, for now, that is a disturbing story of the book that got his author arrested. Thank you so much for making it to the end of that video, I really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, share the video, do all of that good stuff if you did enjoy, and don't forget to check out Cooper with the link in the description. Let me know in the comments what you think of this disturbing book, and if you think that Tori will be jailed for it. Check me out on social media, I have Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and thank you so much to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members: Brooke, Entrepreneur, Morrigan, K4 Silver, Alex Rod, Based Finger, Carmilla, Tango Slime, Shoshka, Reed, Frozen Roses, Nisha Coles, and Midnight Kitty. I'll be back soon with another video, but if you want one right now, then YouTube thinks you'll like the video that's on your screen.